And okay, so after I joined Marks and Spencer's in this country, so I got married and moved here. So I was doing Levi's and all the the various shop fits. And then I got married and moved to this country, and I've continued doing the same thing with Marks and Spencer's. So we used to design the shop fits. I worked primarily in the High Street Kensington store, but we had a sort of a moving team. So we used to go to Hammersmith, we used to go to the Marble Arts store, Victoria. We set up the Victoria store completely new, so we did the shop fit overnight and set up the Victoria store for Marks and Spencer's. So it was again quite an exciting time, and I was learning about retail here in this country, which works very differently from retail in India. So after that, I had to take a break for a while because I had my older daughter. She was born very premature. So for 5 years, her health was a bit iffy, and we were in and out of hospitals. And then at that time, I was sort of thinking about, what can I do? Because obviously I am a creative and I want to continue pursuing the creative line. But what could I do, that'll sort of keep me going creatively, but also something that, it's sort of I can work with a particular material because I like working with my hands, which is what DT is, right? Those who do DT, students who are learning DT, it's about working with material as well. So, so I'd met a chocolatier at a sort of a gathering, and at that time, it sort of coincided with a friend of mine asking for they knew I did a bit of baking, a bit of patisserie work. So I used to just dabble in it in my spare time. And a friend of mine asked me for a 40th birthday cake, but focused on chocolate mainly. And I said, yeah, sure. I said, yes, of course, like I do for everything. You say yes, and then you figure it out later. So I said yes. And I then went on YouTube frantically searching for tempering chocolate. How do I use chocolate? And, I looked at a lot of YouTube videos, and I learned how to temper chocolate online. And I designed and I made this really beautiful cake with chocolate lace all along, tempered chocolate lace all along the bottom, like a sleeve. And it turned out fabulous. But through this whole process, I got actually hooked to chocolate as a material. Now, the thing is, chocolate, I totally fell in love with chocolate as a material. And I think here's where my product design sort of heart started beating again, where, chocolate sort of, it offered me the right amount of material challenge for me to sort of, it's a very temperamental material. It needs the right conditions. It's not at all easy to work with. You need a lot of, it's quite moody overall. And so the material itself challenged me quite a bit. And then I started working with chocolate. I trained online through a course called École Chocolat. I'll send you the details again late in a bit. So I did an École Chocolat course where there's a lady called Kerry Beal, who's a chocolate doctor who teaches on that course. They're based in the US. So I did an online course with École Chocolat, and then I started sort of experimenting with chocolate. And I did a lot of, for weeks on end, I was in the test kitchen trying, putting chocolate and some other product onto a spoon and eating it. And then, I kept trying different flavors. So I'd pick things out at the farmer's market, stuff in my own larder, and keep trying things with chocolate out. And then, a test kitchen products for a very long time before I actually started making chocolates itself. So now I run a company called Beso Coco Chocolates. It's, I would say, highly creative process where you conceptualize a product, you design it, physically design it, you decide the colors, color stories, the contents, obviously what kind of flavors you're looking for, what kind of mood should the person feel after they eat it. And the product design side of me is is utilizing all the things that I've learned over the years and applying it to baked and chocolate goods. So it's kind of what I'm trying to say is that the thread of product design, it stretches right across. Once you learn product design skills, whether it is starting your own company like me, I've done my own logo, working on my website, I've designed my own packaging. My products are designed from scratch. Product design comes into or touches every sphere of running this business. And I couldn't be more happier having trained in product design so that I can actually apply it to my business. I know this is not going to be the last creative hat I'm going to wear. I'm going to continue to adapt and wear other creative hats. But, so there's, coming back to some of the things on the screen. So this is my brand, Beso Coco. And these are the kind of chocolates we make. And they're kind of a labor of love. So I work from home. I've got a small unit here with very small equipment, machinery. I don't have very large machines, but we hand make most of our products. I hire people during the peak seasons, during the seasonal peak, which would be Christmas here. And we make products and we sell products. So essentially, we are working with mainly chocolate and obviously baked goods. And you can study how to become a chocolatier or a patisserie chef at Cordon Bleu, Ecole Chocolat, which is where I did it, Leeds School of Food and Drink, which is also Prue Leeds. She's one of the bake-off judges. So her School of Food and Drink is also very famous. And you also have Chef Academy and Chocolate Academy, where you can learn to work with chocolate. So if that's a career you want to pursue, I can again send a bit more details on how to pursue it here. And the thing is, patisserie chefs earn quite well because it's a very specialized job. You have to train. You have to do a course. There's a lot of hygiene certifications and things you need to do before you can start working in this sphere. But it is a very rewarding sphere, very rewarding job. It's very creative, extremely creative. And this is some pictures of my unit. Now, the thing is, broadly, what I'm trying to say is that I'm not trying to focus only on the chocolate aspect of it, which is why I've taken you through, my whole career path. So obviously, it's been fairly amoebic. It's not been in a straight line. I've dabbled in many spheres, but the common thread through it all is that I know I'm a creative and I have certain qualities that make me quite adaptable to various areas. Now, so if any of you want to pursue a creative career, or creative, particularly in product design, which is physical products, you have to ask yourself whether you have certain traits. Sorry, I'm just brewing a bit of a cough, which is why I'm happy we're on Zoom. So you don't have to worry about catching anything from me. Are you curious? Do you have an attention to detail? Are you quite patient? Because you need a lot of patience working with material. It took me a long time to understand how chocolate works and how to work with it, the conditions that are required for it. It takes a lot of patience to perfect a material. When I was working with gold, it took me months to actually understand how gold works and how the material flows and what the links are and how you would solder something to it. And each material needs a lot of time and patience to master. So are you quite playful? Are you a playful person? Do you like, do you have a sort of a humorous approach to life. You know, do you have the creativity and imagination to, you know, be a bit playful? That's important. That's something that's really important to have. And are you adaptable? Because as you can see, I've adapted across various roles. And are you somebody who's adaptable? So just answer these few questions. I think these are the primary boxes to tick when you're deciding whether you want to be a creative. And also, you know, coming back to the first slide, which is about material and scale. Have you thought about any material that you're already partial to? Like, for example, you worked with a particular raw material that you like working with. You know, you would know it. You would know it in your heart that you like working with this material. Or do you like working in a particular scale? I mean, do you like working in very small, minute scale of design? Or do you like large, big architectural, large swaths of cement and, you know, brick? And, you know, do you like working in a large scale? Or do you like to work in a sort of a medium scale, like designing chairs, which is probably the scale of a human form, right? So you need to kind of decide, answer these few questions before, you know, if you've decided to go into a creative field. And secondary, what would you specialize in? Because there are so many courses and so many options out there. How would you decide what you pursue, you know? So, yeah, and yeah, so it's just, you know, this is essentially the questions that you need to answer, but questions you can answer later. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Deepa.